is a daunting task, but they give it a go. The teenagers comment that flying a Harrier jet to school sure beats the bus evinces an improbably insouciant attitude toward the relative difficulty and danger of piloting a fighter plane in a residential area as opposed to taking public transport. No school would provide landing space for a student's fighter jet or condone the disruption the jet's use would cause. In light of the Harrier jet's well-documented function in attacking and destroying surface and air targets, armed reconnaissance and air interdiction, and offensive and defensive anti-aircraft warfare, depiction of such a jet as a way to get to school in the morning is clearly not serious. Leonard never got his jet, and Leonard v. PepsiCo Inc. is now a part of legal history. I, personally, find it reassuring that if I say anything which I characterize as zany humor, there is a legal precedent to protect me from people who take it seriously. And if anyone has a problem with that, simply collect enough Parker points for a free photo of me not caring. Postage and handling charges may apply. Pepsi took active steps to protect itself from future problems and re-released the ad with the Harrier increased in value to 700 million Pepsi points. I find it amazing that they did not choose this big number in the first place. It's not like 7 million was funnier. The company just didn't bother to do the maths when choosing an arbitrary large number. As humans, we are not good at judging the size of large numbers, and even when we know one is bigger than another, we don't appreciate the size of the difference. I had to go on the BBC News in 2012 to explain how big a trillion is. The UK debt had just gone over £1 trillion, and they wheeled me out to explain that that is a big number. Apparently shouting, "It's really big, and now back to you in the studio," was insufficient, so I had to give an example. I went with my favourite method of comparing big numbers to time. We know a million, a billion, and a trillion are different sizes, but we often don't appreciate the staggering increases between them. A million seconds from now is just shy of 11 days and 14 hours. Not so bad. I could wait that long. It's within 2 weeks. A billion seconds is over 31 years. A trillion seconds from now is after the year 33,700. These surprising numbers actually make perfect sense after a moment's thought. Million, billion, and trillion are each 1,000 times bigger than each other. A million seconds is roughly a third of a month. And so a billion seconds is on the order of 330. A third of 1,000 months. And if a billion is around 31 years, then of course a trillion is around 31,000 years. During our lives, we learn that numbers are linear, that the spaces between them are all the same. If you count from 1 to 9, each number is one more than the previous one. If you ask someone what number is halfway between 1 and 9, they will say 5. But only because they have been taught to. Wake up, sheeple. Humans instinctively perceive numbers logarithmically, not linearly. A young child or someone who has not been indoctrinated by education will place 3 halfway between 1 and 9. 3 is a different kind of middle. It's the logarithmic middle, which means it's a middle with respect to multiplication rather than addition. 1 times 3 equals 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. You can go from 1 to 9 by either adding equal steps of 4 or multiplying by equal steps of 3. So the multiplication middle is 3, and that is what humans do by default, until we are taught otherwise. When members of the indigenous Munduruku group in the Amazon were asked to place groups of dots where they belong between 1 dot and 10 dots, they put groups of 3 dots in the middle. If you have access to a child of kindergarten age or younger, with parents who don't